Australian shares fell today in a broad decline as investors responded to a slew of corporate announcements and speculation of aggressive US policy tightening to rein in inflation. The S&P and ASX 200 falling 1% and closed at 7,046.9 points. Let's go to Scott Phillips from Motley. Now, Scott, good evening. Today is the 17th day this year that all sectors posted a decline.
Yeah, Tomo, good evening. It wasn't a great day, was it? As you say, US markets fell heavily on Friday night. Our time, it was always going to be one-way traffic today. When you get these large, broad-based falls, it is normally the case that all sectors do decline. Now, on the positive, that's probably about only 1 day in 10 we've seen all sectors decline. So that's a win. We'll take that if it happens that irregularly. Today, unfortunately, one of those days, everyone felt some pain.
OK, now investors are awaiting a key central bank meeting later this week for clues on the Federal Reserve's latest thinking about inflation. How could this affect us back home?
Yeah, it's a big one, isn't it? So the US Federal Reserve have their regular meetings at a place called Jackson Hole, your viewers may have heard mentioned in the press. It's basically their way of getting together and deciding what they want to do with the economy based on where it's at and what they feel needs to be done in this case to keep inflation cooling. Now, I say keep inflation cooling. It hasn't really started yet, and that's the big challenge. The key result will be, I think, a statement on whether or not the US Fed is going to continue to raise rates and how quickly. We know, of course, inflation at home isn't as bad, at least not yet, as in the US, but it also impacts the differential between foreign exchange rates. So the RBA always has to keep one eye on the US. Hopefully, it's going to be steady as she goes, but we're watching out for any change to that rhetoric.
Ampol has more than doubled their half benchmark profits, while petrol prices on the rise across the country.
Yeah, and that's a hard combination to swallow, unfortunately, Tomo. Look, there are some different bits and pieces going on there for Ampol. It's not just petrol prices, but frankly, it's mostly petrol prices. And when we fill up at the pumps and we wonder who to blame, we want a cat to kick, this time around it's going to be Ampol, unfortunately for us. Fortunately, if you're a shareholder, it seems higher prices have been very, very good for the refiners' bottom line. Whether that continues as prices continue to come down as they have been is an open question. But yeah, it does stick in the craw a little bit, I have to say.
Scott, the Star Entertainment Group reported a full-year loss of almost $200 million.
It did $200 million from Star, and that was on the back of a write-down of $170-odd million for the Sydney casino. The casino operator blaming regulatory and other uncertainties. You make of that what you will, but basically they're saying the Sydney casino isn't worth what it used to be or what it was before, and a big, big loss. Even allowing for that write-down, a $32 million operating loss. To their defence, they were closed for a lot of that time, of course, because of the COVID lockdowns, but a lot of work still to do for the Star management and board.
And before we go, how are the US markets looking?
Wish I had better news for you, Tomo. It might be a tough second day of the week, unfortunately. Last 5 weeks, we've had 5 straight weeks of gains. We started with a decline today, probably again tomorrow. At the moment, looks like about 0.8%.
Scott Phillips, thank you.
Thanks, Tomo.